The Miami Hurricanes are hosting at least 5 transfer portal visitors today, including possible reinforcements at safety, linebacker, wide receiver, and kicker.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday. We made it. And congratulations to Cam Ward and family. We knew he was going to go number 1 overall, but seeing it happen, hopefully you weren't watching it on ESPN like I was. Woof, more on that. But seeing it actually happen, I got a little emotional last night. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC, and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On this loaded episode, we're going to be joined in a little bit by the postcast king, Jim Grieshaber. We'll talk with our guy Gries about who the next Miami draft picks are going to be, because we're hoping for a handful of names to get called tonight in night 2, second and third rounds of the drafts. Guys, I made the mistake of watching early on. I switched later, but I made the mistake of watching ESPN's draft coverage during the first few picks. It was honestly disgraceful. I didn't know if I was watching ESPN or TMZ. They weren't talking about Cam Ward before the pick. You had Mel Kiper just hyping up why Shadour Sanders should be the first guy taken. And then right after the pick of Cam Ward, no interview, barely any highlights. They immediately move on to Travis Hunter. They spent the entire first round talking about Shadour Sanders, and nothing against Shadour, but give some moments to the guys who were actually getting picked, right? I mean, give something to the number 1 overall pick, 0 star to number 1 pick. I would think Cam Ward would be a pretty good story to tell, but that's not the story that they wanted to tell on Thursday night, and I was very disappointed by that. But let's talk transfer portal. There is a new target, possibly from the University of Florida, another one not visiting today. At least I don't believe he is. But as for who is visiting Miami today, I mentioned possible reinforcements at wide receiver. Miami's got 2 of them on campus here on Friday. Tony Johnson, slot receiver from Cincinnati. Keelan Marion out of BYU, good receiver, excellent kick returner. Miami's got the NC State transfer linebacker on campus today, who I really like. Kamal Bonner is visiting Miami. Miami's got safety from Florida, Gregory Smith III, visiting today. But how about this for what seemed like a late addition to the visitors list? Miami is hosting Texas transfer kicker Bert Auburn. So why is Miami looking at kickers? As you may remember, the guy that we had kind of pegged as the next starting kicker after we ran out of Borregales brothers, unfortunately. But Abram Murray was the guy, we thought would be the next field goal specialist at the University of Miami. Murray, I don't think had a very good spring, was struggling with his accuracy. Murray ended up hitting the transfer portal. Now, Miami does have another scholarship kicker, because in the winter transfer window, Miami brought in Carter Davis from FAU, who's got a big leg, but is known more as a probable kickoff specialist, and then maybe the guy you would bring on to attempt the 53, 55 yarders, because he's got that leg, but maybe not as much accuracy. Since Abram Murray's departure, and I guess since, realizing he's probably not going to be the guy here, there has been a void at kicker. And so, Texas transfer Bert Auburn is on campus today. And boy, it's Auburn. If you guys were watching late season Longhorn stuff, including the SEC championship game, he is polarizing. And I know that, Longhorn fans are still cursing that dude's name. Now, he had a good career with the Longhorns, about 80% plus kicking percentage, was I think 80% last season, 82% the year before that. This is not a bad kicker. Unfortunately, though, he ended his Texas career with a bad case of the yips. He ended his career in a slump. He missed 6 field goal attempts over his final 5 games with the Longhorns, and it appeared that, Texas was moving in the direction of Will Stone, their other scholarship kicker, being the guy who was probably going to be their main place kicker next year. So Bert Auburn decides to hit the transfer portal. So unfortunately, this is one of those kickers who is kind of remembered, for some of the misses that he had late in the season last year, but he is a capable guy. Doesn't have the biggest leg in the world, but then maybe that's why it's good for Miami to have Carter Davis also on the roster. So from 20 to 29 yards, the stuff when you're deep in the red zone, it's money. 6 for 6 last year, was 4 for 5 on the 30 through 39 yarders, was 10 for 10 at that range the year prior. So, 24 for 25 the last 2 years from 30 to 39 yards. He was 6 for 12 last year on the 40 to 49 yards. Most of those misses were beyond 45, and he was 0 for 2 from 50-plus yards. So, unfortunately, there are no more Borregale out there. Mr. and Mrs. Borregales, don't have any more sons that we know of or nephews. So, Miami is now in the post-Borregales era. And, Bert Auburn, obviously, it's not – he had some issues last season, but could still, very well be a good possible option for Miami to bring him in. So Bert Auburn is visiting today. If you're on campus, you'll probably see he's got these flowing locks of red hair. So you'll be able to see him from a mile away if he's walking around Coral Gables. And listen, I know, again, Longhorn fans are going to tell you, oh, good, he's your problem now if Miami does end up landing him. But he's got a good career percentage, and he is seasoned. He's 1 year of eligibility left. He is a senior. So this could be a legitimate option to amplify Miami's kicking game coming up. And all right, let's talk about the non-place kickers, okay? Keelan Marion, I'm not sure if I'm saying his first name correctly, out of BYU. He's got explosive potential as both a wide receiver, but especially as a kick returner. So he put up modest stats as a receiver last year with the BYU Cougars, 346 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 14.4 yards per catch. He actually started his career at UConn, and his second year at UConn averaged 22 plus yards per catch. So he's got some big play potential. But, what really put Marion on the map last year was returning 2 kickoffs to the house. Is an excellent special teams returner. So, I think Miami and the other teams that are looking at him, that's one of kind of the primary objectives, is to, be able to get his playmaking ability on kick returns on the field. Miami also has slot receiver Tony Johnson on campus today, a transfer from Cincinnati. He's also got South Florida roots. He is a former FAU player. That's where he started his career. He's out of Ocala, Florida, which is kind of Gator country, but it's not that far away from Miami. But at Cincinnati last year, 48 receptions, 449 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And, if Miami, really isn't, he's more of a slot receiver. He played like 77% of his snaps from the slot last year. If Miami is still looking for a slot, this could probably be their best opportunity to get somebody to compete for that role, because it looks like Trevor Pena is going to land at Penn State. Got some crystal balls. I think just one, but a high confidence crystal ball from a Syracuse insider to land with the Nittany Lions. So even though, Pena did meet with Miami earlier this week, it looks like Penn State could very well be the spot for him. So, Tony Johnson could be the option B. And if Miami lands Johnson, you're not necessarily penciling him in to take a job away from Ray Joseph or even, Malachi Toney. I think all these guys would compete and get on the field. So he would be, I guess, like less of a threat than, someone like Trevor Pena, who just had a tremendous season, basically produced double the stats that Tony Johnson produced last year and had a great year with Syracuse. We talked a little bit about Kamal Bonner yesterday, the linebacker who, had a pretty good redshirt freshman season with the North Carolina State Wolfpack, finished with 56 tackles. Most of his tackles came, last couple of games of the season. He ended up kind of earning due to injury to another, but taking on a starting role as a redshirt freshman late in the year. So Kamal Bonner could be, I think, a good depth piece for Miami at linebacker, 6'2", 200 pounds. There's also a connection to Miami's roster. He's from Colquitt County High School in Moultrie, Georgia, same high school as Nye Carr. And Nye Carr, we covered this last night, took his name out of the transfer portal. So the Miami receiver out of Colquitt County, Georgia, is going to be sticking with Miami, and maybe he's helping recruit a former high school teammate of his now to the U with Bonner. And then, of course, the other visitor who's on campus today, former Florida Gators safety Gregory Smith III. He's got all 4 years of eligibility remaining. Took a redshirt year as a freshman last year with Florida. He's got connections with Coach Will Harris at Miami. That was his primary recruiter out of high school. And again, I think this could be a great depth and developmental piece for Miami's safety room. And he's certainly got the elite size and measurables. Greg Smith at 6'4", 215 pounds. There's a lot to work with there, and I can see why Miami's defensive backs coaches would be excited to possibly get the opportunity to coach up a player like that. When we come back, there's another former Florida Gator who's in the transfer portal who is getting linked to Miami, and it's at another position of need. Can Miami land a really promising defensive tackle who might take his talents from Gainesville to the 305? You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Guys, NBA playoffs are in full swing. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. Guys, from three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Do not miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. For your next listen, make sure you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack and I, we take you around the conference. Unfortunately, the ACC only had 2 players drafted in the first round. I was hoping for at least 3. Our guy Cam Ward carried the conference on his back last night. He put the entire ACC on his shoulders and, went number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. And then in the 20s, you had Amari and Hampton, standout running back from North Carolina, was drafted. I thought Donovan Ezeraku, edge rusher from Boston College, was going to get taken in the first round, but he has slid into the second round. And as we'll talk about in a few minutes with our guy Gries, there's Miami players like Elijah Arroyo, Xavier Restrepo, Damian Martinez, who I really hope get taken in rounds 2 and or 3 tonight. I want to see more Hurricanes get taken off the board because this is a great advertisement for Hurricanes football. I mean, you've got the number 1 overall pick last night throwing up the U and doing that cool video call that he had with Inez Cooper. The two, Cam Ward and Inez Cooper, were like 2 of the most entertaining guys on the roster last year. I'm glad Big Coop, starting right guard, is back with Miami for 1 more year. But the 2 of them are an absolute trip. They're just 2 of the funniest guys in that locker room last year. So, Cam Ward from Miami is a great advertisement, first overall pick. They had him on Times Square, Cam Ward, Miami. It was great. We want to see more guys drafted because it's just a great commercial and a great advertisement for what Mario Cristobal is building here at the University of Miami. So, we've seen a number of links to, Florida Gators players in the transfer portal. Miami may be on the verge of landing the safety Greg Smith. Another one who became available yesterday, who took his talents into the transfer portal, is a big defensive tackle out of Florida, DeAndre Robinson, 6'3", 307 pounds. He's got 3 years of eligibility remaining. Played quite a bit in his first year last year, 162 snaps. Final 2 games, as noted by Gabby Urrutia at Inside the U, 27 and 23 snaps against Florida State and Tulane. Those were the last 2 games for Florida, so he was kind of rising up the ranks throughout the season. Finished with 16 tackles, 3.5 TFL, 2 sacks. One of those sacks came against the Seminoles, so come on down here. You can do more of that, DeAndre. You can sack some Seminole quarterbacks. Thomas Castellanos, take that dude to the ground this coming season. And he played his high school ball at Jones High School in Orlando. Jones is the school where future Miami Hurricane Darion Coleman plays. Their coach is a Miami alum at Jones. And Malik Bryant, edge rusher, moved, edge rusher, former linebacker, moved to edge rusher. Miami's roster went to Jones High School as well. So there are some Jones connections. And you notice something for those who, I talked to some Gators folks, like our guy Brandon Olson, good friend of mine who hosts Locked On Gators. You see some of the fan posts on social media. As soon as DeAndre Robinson entered the transfer portal, like the immediate smoke was, hey, this could be a Miami thing here. And then, all the dudes up there in the Gainesville area with their mullets and their jorts are saying, must be tampering. Miami must be tampering with this one. Listen, man, the guy clearly, is smart enough. I don't know for sure if he'll end up at Miami, but he clearly wanted out of the University of Florida, which is good enough for me. And maybe week 4 this season, we'll have Greg Smith wearing Miami gear, and we'll have possibly DeAndre Robinson, defensive tackle would probably be maybe Miami's third or fourth defensive tackle on the roster, could be a really, really good depth piece at that position. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing the Gators on the field and being at Hard Rock Stadium in several months to see that one in action. Let's talk some NFL drafts as we continue to celebrate our guy Cam Ward getting taken number 1 overall, and we'll wonder what is next, because there are maybe up to 10 more Hurricanes players who could have their names called over the next 2 days. And we're always thrilled to bring on the man we call the postcast king, our guy Gries, Jim Grieshaber, who you can hear after every Miami Hurricanes football game. He does the postcasts, also does postcasts after Miami Heat games and San Diego Padre games. And he's throwing up, it's all about the U. He's a Miami guy just like all of us. Now, Gries, for as happy as I am for Cam Ward, I'm a little bit bitter because so much of the coverage and the narratives was like, hey, Shadour Sanders, this and that, which also probably did Shadour a disservice because it put a bigger spotlight on him, when he ends up falling out of the first round completely. But it's like no onstage interview for Cam Ward, like barely any highlights shown, barely any talk. Like I would have thought that the story of 0-star out of high school to first overall pick, that would be a great narrative to tell. Instead, the TV networks went in a different direction, I guess.
Well, the TV network, right? And we don't want to fall into the same trap. It becomes such a story, Alex, with Coach Prime and Shadour, and and then you got people out there saying that there's foul play involved and whatnot. But I will say this, okay? Having watched everything leading up to this and having seen what Cam Ward did last year versus Shadour and seeing their entire careers unfold, I am shocked. I actually really am shocked that Shadour fell. But
yeah, me too.
Seeing this right here, I'm good with Cam Ward, Alex. I've let it go, man. I'm burying the hatchet. He came when we saw the U flashed by the number 1 pick. Think about that, though. And I want to get to Cam Ward in a second, but just to see that U flashed, number 1 pick, in their wildest dreams, when Mario Cristobal was talking to Cam Ward about coming here, I wonder if that ever came up. Hey, you never know. You could be, Heisman finalist, number 1 pick, whatever. It really is, when you think about it, the American story of all stories. It could be a movie from 0 stars. And it's still to this point where I don't even remember how to say it, and I don't care. It makes it better every time I do it. Is it incarnate word or word incarnate? Who the hell cares?
Incarnate word.
Incarnate word. To come from there. Think about that. 0 stars. Nobody wants him. I tell my kid all the time, he's 16. He's second string. Middle linebacker. I'm like, Cam Ward. But Dad, I bet Cam Ward. But Dad, Cam Ward. I mean, for every kid in America, for every father, for every coach, if you ever want proof that getting a little bit better every day and never being deterred from your dream, no matter how wild and crazy it or they might be, they can come true, Alex. And you just have to transfer to the University of Miami if you're a great player to make them come true. But seeing that you flash number 1, I'm just so happy for Mario, for the program. It's extremely rare to have a number 1 pick. You know what I mean? And the University of Miami, we got spoiled for a long time, but not with a ton of number 1 overall picks. And Cam Ward's story just continues. It's miraculous. It's incredible. And what he did in 1 year at the University of Miami for himself. I mean, Carson Beck's got to be watching going, oh, it's my turn. So it is incredible for Cam Ward, but for the University of Miami, for Mario Cristobal, for the buy-in from all the recruits that are coming in, and you come in, you say, hey, we're number one pick. It's not only a number one pick, it's the quarterback taking number one from a place that has been called quarterback U for so long. Cam Ward actually makes it quarterback U in the most legit way possible. So good for him. Great for the program too.
And you mentioned top overall picks, don't grow on trees, at least not for most programs. He's only the third number one pick in Miami history. He joins Russell Maryland and Vinny
Maryland
Testaverde. Yeah.
and Vinny
Just the
T.
third in Miami history. He's only the fourth in the history of the ACC. And something else, Gries, like I had.
Vinny had a good career too, I want to say. I just want to say Vinny had a good NFL career.
Yeah. Absolutely. As far as Cam Ward, I had the privilege. I had a busy night last night. I was on two different live broadcasts of Tennessee Titans shows, because everyone wanted to talk about Cam Ward. And of course, everyone wants to know, like, hey, like, give me the reasons why this may not work out, right? Because nobody wants to draft a bust number one overall. And like, okay, listen, with Cam Ward, the physical skills are obvious, right? I mean, the tape and the highlight reel speaks for itself. The guy is an absolute freak at that position, right? It's just got all the physical tools to be a quarterback. And so if somebody's asking me like, hey, is there any chance this guy's going to be a bust? Like, okay, not only does he have the physical tools, why I do not believe Cam Ward will be a bust, but you think about like some of the catastrophic quarterback busts in history. You think of guys like Ryan Leaf and Jamarcus Russell, and those guys didn't have the strong head on their shoulders. They didn't have the work ethic and the mental fortitude. Like, Gries, my answer about anyone who's thinking Cam Ward might be a bust, like, honestly, Cam Ward will not allow himself to be a bust. Like, this guy works so hard. He is so focused. Like, in my year, getting to know Cam Ward a little bit and getting to know his family, his parents are awesome. I talked to his father, Calvin, from time to time. Getting to know what Cam Ward is about, it kind of makes me feel inadequate. Like, why don't I focus more on becoming great? Why do I waste time watching Netflix and taking naps? Like, why am I not striving to be great at every single thing I do like Cam Ward does? Like, the physical tools are obvious, Gries, but the mental tools, Cam Ward will not allow Cam Ward to be a first-round bust. I believe he's going to be great.
And we know that the physical tools are there. So as long as, and why do first-year quarterbacks fail, second, third-year quarterbacks fail? It's because of the system and the team. Obviously, the team stinks for a reason, right? But when you look at the scenario for Cam, it's different for a quarterback. A quarterback can walk in from day one and change that building for good. A quarterback can walk through the doors on day one and change the building for good. A quarterback of Cam's stature, when he walks through those doors, meets his teammates, his coaching staff, they're going to realize from the second he walks in, not only what you said, all those things that you said about him, every single one of them is 100% true. And by the way, if you feel like you have to get your stuff together, I don't know about the rest of us on the network, because you're one of the hardest working hosts, man. You're always putting out content, doing everything. You're down there all the time. You practically live at the University of Miami. You're one of the few guys who gets let in, special privileges, So we all have a lot of work to do, Alex. But all those things you said about Cam, 100% true. But more so than that, he has that mindset. He has that quiet mindset, but that mindset nonetheless of, come with me, guys. I'm the leader of this team now. I got you. I got this. I got us. And everybody feels a certain level of comfort. Everybody feels when you actually truly have a leader, and you know this, Alex, whether it be a coach or a player, and especially when it's a quarterback, you have that leader. Everybody just naturally follows and falls in line. And from the meetings in the film room, from the locker room, and everybody goofing around, playing around, to the practice field, to the game, everybody knows who to look to, and he wants it no other way. He wants everybody to look to him for that leadership. They don't even know what they got. I mean, they think they got a great one coming in, but they don't even know. They got so much more than that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And, Cam Ward has got, close to a dozen teammates who are hoping to see their names called tonight and tomorrow. Yeah. Who's going to be the next Miami Hurricanes draft pick with day 2 coming up? We want to keep it locked right here. We got the Postcast King with us on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. I'm so happy that Amazon Fire TV is part of the family here now on Locked On. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn every TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25. You can play with Cam Ward at Miami for the last time on that game. Call of Duty, Black Ops 6, and Avowed, so many others. You can stream them as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. And yeah, you get endless entertainment with 4K streaming. Watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Guys, head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Got Gries, the Postcast King, with us. All right, so I'm hoping at least one, hopefully 2 or 3 Canes go tonight in second and third round. Who do you think is going to be the next guy off the board, Gries?
I mean, that's a tough one because everybody thinks it's Elijah Arroyo, right? I mean, he's a guy who had offers from everywhere coming out of high school, a stud. So obviously, and look, Cam Ward spread the ball around. We just talked a lot about him, and he made some receivers look real good last year. But he'll be the first to tell you he doesn't get his name called number one without that crew overall. And Arroyo's a big part of it, man. I have him as the best tight end in the country. No surprise there, right? But the two guys, right, and everybody has him in the top 3 to 5. Most people have him in the top 3. And the two guys who went in the first round yesterday ahead of him, right? So he's the next tight end on the board. And for that reason, because of the position, because it's so valuable to have a guy with that athleticism and that kind of capability playing that position, he's going to definitely, I think he's not going to last long today. He's going to come off the board pretty quick. Like I said, everybody wanted him out of high school. The upside's huge. He had not a monster year, but a real good year last year. And the other guy has a change of pace. I love him, Damian Martinez. I mean, I love Najee's gone from Pittsburgh. A lot of places think he might. I was looking at the Miami Hurricane saying that he might end up in Pittsburgh, but I love him as a power back, as a change of pace. And the one thing about Damian Martinez that some people might not realize, if you're watching and you're a fan of one of these teams that might be drafting him, he can hit the home run ball, Alex. He had several long touchdown runs last year. So he's not just a power back. He could do it all. He could catch out of the backfield. So I really like Damian Martinez at the next level. So some combination of Arroyo and Martinez, and then X marks the spot, X spots the mark, whatever. How do you not love Restrepo as a Canes fan? Got bad advice from Drew to sit out that game, the bowl game. But and really, why would you sit it out unless you're a top guy? But whatever, it is what it is. X is a great route runner. And usually when you say that about a guy, you're calling him slow. He's not slow. He's not blazing fast, but he's not slow. I think that X could be like a Puka, a guy like that. I don't know, Puka Nacua. I think he has tremendous capability at the next level as well. It could be any one of those 3 guys depending on need, but because of the position and because of his upside, I'd have to say Arroyo would be if I were throwing money down on it, it'd be Arroyo.
Yeah, and listen, I with Xavier Restrepo, I really hope he gets taken tonight. I know that people are going to try to use the slow 40 time against him at pro day. He was dealing with, I think, a hamstring issue with that. But again, I'm not saying he's a blazing fast guy, but I would imagine that the hamstring issue probably affected him a little bit. And the tape doesn't lie. And selfishly, I would love to see the Tennessee Titans draft him.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah,
Cam. If Cam has anything to say about it, they will. They'll take a hard look at him.
Yeah, the only problem is their next pick on the board is number 35, just a couple into the second round. So I don't know if they'll value. I hope they do, but I don't know if they'll value him that high. Then they don't have a third round pick. Their next pick after that will be in round 4, number 103 overall. So unless maybe they like trade down to lower in the second or third round, but I would love to see. Yeah, I think X and Cam together at the pro
That
level
would be awesome. What about Rivers, Alex? What do you think of
Oh man,
Rivers?
listen. You're
I
going to be
mean,
hard
he's
pressed.
300 plus, 6'5". He's got all the
Yeah,
tools.
yeah. I hope most of the projections, and Jalen Rivers is one of my favorite Canes. So I hope that a lot of the projections I've seen, which have him as a day 3 guy, I hope they are wrong, because when it comes to someone who's got the physical ability and the positional versatility, because Jalen Rivers can play tackle or guard and on either side, by the way. So you're getting a guy that can help your offensive line in multiple spots. You're also getting a team leader, was part of Miami's leadership council for the last couple of years, a great human being who, again, doesn't have, very many hobbies outside of football, kind of like Cam Ward. So he's a razor-focused guy, great locker room guy, great player. So, yeah, I mean, Jalen Rivers is someone that I'm hoping we see get taken tonight.
Same. And I also like Barron and Barrow. I mean, I think injuries chipped away at them last year. Defensive end and a defensive tackle, but you always have to love a defensive lineman out of the University of Miami. So do you see it where, I mean, I don't know if they all get taken day 2, but I mean, it'd be nice to see Arroyo, Restrepo, Martinez, Rivers, Barron, Barrow, and how about Borregales? I mean, I think he's going to be tremendous, all ACC kicker. Let's get them all today, day 2.
That would be great. I mean, if someone wants to draft a kicker in round 2, I am here for it, as long as his name is Andres Borregales. But
not gonna happen.
He absolutely. I believe Andy Borregales, and also I'll say this about his brother Jose, who's had been in and out of NFL rosters. He's just, that kicking fraternity is so hard to get into because there's only 32 jobs. Teams don't carry backup kickers in the NFL. But do I believe Andy Borregales is one of the 32 best place kickers in the world? I strongly believe that. So I hope and I think he's going to get taken. Tyler Barron. I know Barron had like a very streaky season at Miami. Like he had certain games where he was unstoppable, other games where he was probably affected by injury, was a little bit less involved. But teams love his physical tools, so I think Barron is going to get drafted. Simeon Barrow, I think one of the most disrespected prospects. Like the guy was snubbed from a combine invite, and I'm not sure if he got the East West Shrine invite. He was snubbed of a number of things, but he was very productive for Miami last year. So I feel like Simeon Barrow deserves like a little bit more invites and coverage. So I hope he gets drafted as well. Let me see if I'm missing. Jacoby George and Sam Brown, a couple more receivers we hadn't mentioned who I think could be day 3 picks, especially George, because George had really productive last couple of years at Miami. So I think there's about 11 guys who could very well get 11, including Cam Ward. I hope they all get taken tonight, hopefully, if not tomorrow.
Cam's going to get one of his guys, don't you think? In the later rounds, he's going to get one of his guys.
Yeah.
Jacoby George, one of those guys. Sam Brown, he'll get one of those guys. He'll get a shot there.
And I'll admit, I've kind of got a soft spot for the Tennessee Titans now. Like I'm still, I've stuck with the Dolphins for this long. Like they're, there's nothing they've hurt me enough. There's nothing more they can do. So I'm always a Dolphin fan, but the Titans might be my second team now with Cam Ward, and they got my guy James Williams there as well.
Yeah, I want to ask you. This is not a Colorado show, but we started with this because of all that attention that ESPN put on Shadour. Are you super surprised that he fell like that?
Yeah, well, not yes and no. There seemed to be a lot of smoke on mock drafts that he was going to go to the Steelers at number 21, but then it turns out the Steelers really looks like they really want Aaron Rodgers, and they didn't want to they don't want to piss him off by drafting a quarterback, but it's still like you still had, about 32 other teams or 30 teams. Those people having multiple.
Giants passed on him twice.
Yeah, exactly. So
everybody thought they were going to pick him at the top of the draft. Yeah. They passed on him 2 times.
Yeah, because I don't hate on Shadour the way some people do. I know people will bring up
he's a good player, man.
They'll try to hate on the guy because of Deion Sanders and growing up with the silver spoon and then getting his number retired, which I don't think was his decision. That was probably Dad's decision and everything. But I think Shadour Sanders is a really good player, and someone's going to probably Cleveland at 33, but someone's going to draft him in the second round and be pretty happy that he fell that far.
Yeah, and I think about Sanders. He's already wealthy. I can't say poor Shadour, but I mean, it would be bad enough to go to a crappy team on day 1 and be expected to go in there, and it's a crappy organization. They're at the top of the draft for a lot of reasons, right? But to do that and have that happen on day 2 when you're not getting the day 1 money, that would be the worst case scenario for anyone. Yeah, you have to feel for him. You do.
Yeah, I do. Well,
It almost makes that video of him and Cam talking trash to each other, if you go back and watch that now, it almost looks ridiculous. Didn't age well.
It kind of does. It kind of does. Well, listen, we appreciate your time as always. I love the gear. Like Gries and I compete for, who wears more Miami gear anytime it comes on. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's been an old school Nike, by the way. A lot of people wish Nike was back with Miami. So make sure you check our guy Gries on all the awesome postcasts. Make sure you check us out. And we'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.